after one, um, almost 1:10, thereabouts. I'm taking a break from doing some classwork. I believe I've mentioned before that I'm doing, I'm actually doing quite a few classes. Originally, I was doing my 200-hour yoga certification course, which is on pause as I figure out how I want to approach it. Because from this point on, it starts becoming, I'm like 90% done. At this point on, it becomes more about um, teaching a class and how to structure a class, things like that, which I'm not going to teach a class. I'm not looking to be a yoga instructor. Um, I'm looking to be a yoga talker. Um, Not to be confused with someone who doesn't do yoga. I'm not just talking about it. Um, my entire life is actually structured around um, being a yogi. Not that I particularly like using a identification, some type of label, but that fits probably more than anything. But what it means is that the yogic ideal, the entire program from the beginning ethical and personal observance practices through the asanas, through the breath work, through withdrawing the senses and meditation. And it's been my life for forever, or so it seems. And just deepening and deepening and deepening through the years. Most particularly after my father died 2 years ago. It wasn't even a conscious decision that, okay, this is it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I will teach and talk about yoga. It turns out my friends, particularly Nick and Paul from Oregon, who really encouraged me to start my own channel, also did me a huge favor, not just putting my burpees out there, which I'd love to do. They didn't honestly didn't think I would enjoy sharing doing burpees as much as I did. I had a friend, my Facebook, I have a Facebook workout journal that I keep, and a friend, she suggested that I do a channel like some of the ones that she had looked up, all of you guys. And I laughed and said, no, no one wants to see a post middle aged, half naked guy doing burpees in their basement, poor camera quality, um, rambling on about whatever. Because I knew if I pointed a camera at me, I would start rambling on about something or other. And here's the proof right now. Um, and she was encouraging as well. You know, you should do it. But honestly, I had no intention of ever doing it. I don't know what clicked. Um, Paul and Nick's gentle insistence, good humored insistence. Um, and I thought, well, I'll do one. And then I did one, and I had the people that I admired so much in the burpee community, uh, Osiris and Max and all of you guys just showed up and said, hey, good job, well done. Not just doing the burpees, but putting it out there, sharing it. So as it turns out, this is also becoming somewhat of a yoga personal development type of channel to the best that I'm able, which isn't much technically speaking. I can't do any fancy tricks with a camera. This is it. This is basically what you guys are going to get. Me looking at the camera and talking about whatever shit pops up. Maybe doing a few postures. I demonstrated a little while back the easy cow face pose, which has been helpful in my shoulder recovery. And talking about diet and talking about exercise, talking about stuff. I like the term self-development more than self-improvement. I really don't believe in self-improvement because what's to be improved? What I mean is, I don't mean that there's not room for improvement. Everyone has room for improvement. But what I mean is that there's no self to be improved. It's also why I sort of have to I'm always hesitant when I say something, when I catch myself saying something like, the best version of yourself or whatever. There's no version of yourself. Or should we say there's only versions of a self? We can most easily say, readily say, or better say, the self is a verb, not a noun. So it's always something different. It's always different this moment than it just was. It's always becoming. I believe it's in the Jewish mysticism thinking, the Kabbalah, that the self is always splintering, always just becoming. It's never static. So where does that version of yourself yesterday stop so that you can be a better version now? It's already becoming something. That's why I sort of like that word development, because it's always developing into something. But even that is sort of a misnomer. It doesn't quite fit, but it's the best that I can do right now. So, one of the classes, going back to what I originally started talking about, that I'm taking right now, one of the classes is a yoga psychology course, which is a great class. It's always been an interest for me. A lot of people talk about yoga philosophy, but a philosophy to me seems to be a mode of past thinking. Has historical context. It's not a living thing. How many people put the practices of Aristotle, Socrates, in play right now? Probably some, but it's not a widespread type of movement. I think the widest would be the Stoic approach, which seems to be catching on more and more, and is a viable way of navigating through life, in my opinion. But yoga is a different thing. The philosophy of yoga contains principles, but it's the psychology of yoga. That's the living thing. That's the transformative effect. And that's what we practice. And we practice it from waking to going to sleep. And not in a dry way. Not in a, oh crap, I gotta practice yoga again today. I just finished yesterday. I just went to sleep, and now I'm up and I gotta practice yoga all over again. Yoga is a joyful thing to practice. And the effects are just amazing. So here I'm reading about how yoga affects the brain structure. Good news is, and this is in the same course, not just yoga though. Burpees. They didn't mention burpees by name, of course, but they did talk about aerobic training and its capacity of changing the brain, the very structure of the brain, as well as with positive thinking, all kinds of other little things that we sort of almost take for granted. It's the funny thing about positive thinking. In the 90s or so, I would have been all about it. I would have been sold on the benefits of positive thinking. In the 2000s or so, I shifted away from that. Thoughts were less important. That because the longer you meditate, the more you see the shifting pattern of thoughts. They're never static. They're just vibrational qualities moving through the brain. No need to get hung up on them. You have a negative thought, it will change. You don't need to force it out. And I believe that still now, that we don't need to force any type of change. We don't need to try to be other than we are right now. If we are grieving, if we are in a state of sorrow, if we are sad, if we are depressed, if we are whatever, first, accept it. This is how I feel right now. It doesn't have to be anything other than what it is. That means you're aware of it. Everything changes through awareness. Simply be aware. We could end right there, and that would be enough. Just shining that light of awareness on whatever is occurring right now. Be it physical pain, emotional pain, psychological drama, doesn't matter. If you're aware of it, it's already in the process of changing. But you know what? It doesn't hurt when we have these particular negative thoughts that are feeding us into that pattern, and it's all patterns, every bit of it. It doesn't hurt to insert a sense of positivity to move us out of that pattern, back into awareness. And then that's where the action's at, in the awareness. So, again, I've shifted my thoughts a little bit. It's not in that, the value of positive thinking. It's more that when we're spiraling, when we're getting caught in that pattern that's going to have some type of repercussion in our lives that's going to be damaging. Enter something a little positive. Who knows what it is? Maybe it's a smile. A smile changes the physiology of your body. Smile changes the biochemical reaction in your body. It changes the brain waves. Just a smile. Hello, my friend. Joa? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I always feel bad when I have someone pop up to say hi, and I'm afraid to say their name because I'm going to mispronounce it. And to be honest, I will mispronounce almost every name that pops up. But I do want to offer apologies when I do it. So, again, it's not living your life where you have to block every negative thought that enters. That would be a time-consuming, all-day event for some people. Especially when most of those thoughts are just passing through. It's when we find ourselves stuck in a pattern, then we take some sort of action to introduce a different pattern, or to go back to that sense of awareness where again everything changes. Let's see, I'm Brazilian. You can't pronounce right because of the nasal sound. No problem, friend. Well, thank you for that. Thanks for the clarification. Brazil, I've been told, and what I've read and the photos I've seen, beautiful, beautiful nation. So, thinking in those terms, change in the brain, transformation, self-development, self-improvement, we're already doing it. We're getting the burpee reps in. We're going running. We're doing work in the rings. We're doing pull-ups. We're doing push-ups. We're doing squats. All of that counts. All of that means something. All of that is leading us towards a healthier place. Not just physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And here's a really important thing. The really important thing is, well, all of it's important. But how are we going to age? It's never too young to start thinking about that. I watched my mother retire from what seemed like a lifetime of being a elementary school teacher. She was hesitant to retire because she loved what she was doing, but she knew it was time. Within a year, maybe 2 years, she was showing symptoms of Alzheimer's, and then it just was a long slide. 10 years, she eventually died. Let's see. In English, there is no sound like. My name is close to John. Oh, okay. That's interesting, especially looking at the spelling. And he says that he read once in a book of Dale Carnegie, The Thing of Smiling. Um, yeah, he wrote some very important stuff, some very valuable stuff. Him, quite a few others. And there is such a big deal, such great value in just something as simple as a smile. In yoga, we train that when we're performing the asanas, we keep a gentle smile on our face because of the effect, the physiological effect that it has on our system. That when we're straining in a pose, not too much, but there is some strain, that gentle smile acts as a calming agent. Same with meditation. If you look at some of the great statues of the Buddha, Shiva, during meditation, there's that light smile playing on their lips. That's the smile of enlightenment. It's a smile of awakening. It doesn't belay, or it doesn't negate the fact of what we may be feeling inside. You can offer that light smile and still be grieving, still be in a state of sorrow, still be suffering, still be in pain, emotional pain, psychological pain. None of that's negated. And the truth is, we don't want to negate anything. What we feel is what we feel. Why push it aside? Who's to say that a somewhat happier state is better than the state you're feeling now? Again, you only want to interject some type of agent of change into the system when you feel that there's going to be a damaging effect from getting caught. It's enough simply to be aware. Unfortunately, when we start spiraling like that, when we're caught in those patterns, the fact is we're not aware. Even worse, we're not even aware that we're not aware. So we're trapped. It's a cycle. So all you want to do is something that helps you gain that sense of awareness. That's it. So, yeah, my father, on the other hand, after my mother passed away, he stayed sharp for an additional almost 20 years. Passed away 2 years ago, 93. Some health issues, but his brain stayed sharp. And he did things to keep it that way. Crossword puzzles, studied, learned, stayed active, stayed engaged in the world. That's the importance of exercise. That's the importance of the things that we're doing now. But I think we need to take it a little bit farther. I think if you're just doing burpees, if you're just doing pull-ups, as valuable as that is, that we need to enter some type of mind training, meditation, yoga, qigong, some type of martial art. Something that has that yogic effect on the brain to keep us younger and sharper for a longer and longer and longer period of time. Not to mention the transformation. You can't practice yoga. You can't seriously practice yoga. And I'm not talking about the yoga asanas. I'm talking about the entire practice of yoga without a transformation occurring. And by that, the entire path leads us towards peace, inner peace. And when you achieve a sense of inner peace, the world begins to change. Just one person, because it does have that ripple effect. That means you're a peaceful agent in the world. It means wherever you go, there's going to be a little more peace. So it spreads from there. Let's see. It could be that someone needs to hear your message and it ends up not finding it as it's not in the search. Yeah, you know what? I really don't know how to do any of that stuff. I don't know how to... basically, I have a YouTube channel. I point a cheap little camera phone at me and I start talking and then I upload it. That's the extent of any technical um, things that I have. My friend Destiny Forever Walks, PhD is here. Happy Friday, and how are you today? I'm doing fine. Destiny, how are you? I hope you are settled into your move, um, and you're now feeling at home in your new place. These are some topics that I've been putting out there that I think you'll find quite interesting, Destiny, and I know you'll have some things to add as well. Transformation, transformative effects, starting an aging process, a healthy aging process, early on. Earlier the better. And by that I mean even in childhood. If we taught yoga and meditation in elementary school, the world would be transformed in a decade. Not to mention, we'd have a generation who are going to have less emotional, psychological, and health issues than previous generations before. Destiny says that she is doing fine and that she is settling in well. Good. I'm happy to hear that. Or if we were to teach Qigong, something, again, that has that mind-body connection put into practice. But it's lacking that. We have health classes. We teach kids to play basketball. We teach kids to do all kinds of stuff. But we don't teach them how to age properly. We don't teach them how to be psychologically, emotionally, and physically sound from a young age. We don't teach proper nutritional guidelines. Destiny says that she truly agrees with that. We need this taught in our early school years. We do. Sadly, I'm afraid some people would scream that we're indoctrinating our kids. And in a way, every kid's indoctrinated into something, into their parents' belief system, into a school's belief system, into a nation's belief system, into a religious belief system. So why not a peace system? Why not a healthy system? Why not an emotionally sound and open and accepting and loving system? To me, that path was yoga, but it could be a path of Qigong. It could be a practice of Ayurvedic style eating. It could be. The thing with, I mention this all the time with Christianity. It's no longer a practice. It's just a thought system. It's just a belief. But Jesus, in the Beatitudes, in the Sermon of the Mount, offers a practice. Do this. He breaks it down. He has steps. Do this. Be humble. Be peaceful. Be forgiving. Be kind. But it's not a practice anymore. Buddhism has a practice. The Eightfold Path of Buddhism, leading towards nirvana. Yoga has the 8 limbs of yoga, leading towards enlightenment. Or we can just say peace. My friend from Brazil says, I need to have lunch now, but I will review this later. It was great to find your channel. See you later. Hey, thank you very much for, 1, for those kind words, and 2, for stopping by. Because, it was just a random thing, and you did, and your company made a big difference for me, and I really appreciate it. So, thank you, and thanks for stopping back later. So, why not return? If we're going to have, if we're going to have that type of belief system, let's say a Judeo-Christian belief system, then we should practice it, or we should offer some type of practice. Destiny says, I don't see our children taught too much of anything in school today. But technology and how to use the devices, smart devices, have taken over today's society. I agree. And in some ways, maybe they're helpful, but in other ways, we're seeing more and more. One of the things that I was discussing, the effects of exercise, the effects of yoga, the effects of meditation, all has in your brain. Positive. And it's a ripple effect because it goes all through your life. Physiological, psychological, emotional, spiritual. So some of these tools that we have, some of the devices, technology, awesome in their development. But what we don't know yet, the long-term effects, emotionally, physiologically, psychologically, spiritually, that they're having on people, that they're having on your kids. Right now, some of the effects that we're seeing are negative. Look at the increase in bullying. Look at the increase of trolls. And this isn't just kids. This is adults who now feel safe, anonymous, behind a screen, to be hurtful, just for fun. That's a new thing. There's always been bullying, but it was up front. You knew who your bully was. You could take steps to avoid it. Now, where is a safe spot? I never know when I'm going to come here and have a talk and somebody's going to attempt to troll me. I'll be honest with you. I do engage with trolls, but not in a negative way. I'll welcome everyone. If you're here to troll me, you're in for a surprise. I'm going to be good-natured about it. I don't care. You're not going to hurt me because you're a ghost in the machine. I don't know you. But I think it's sad, honestly. And hurtful for others. You know what? It's hurtful for you. The Buddha said that you are not punished for your anger. You're not punished by being angry. You're not punished for being a troll. Being a troll is your punishment. Anger is its own punishment. Your blood pressure goes up. Your all kinds of negative effects on your health. That's karma. Karma isn't punishment. It's just the effects of the actions that have taken place. No one is punished by their karma. Karma is just the result of what you've been doing every single day. If you're an angry person, you suffer the effects of anger. If you're a troll, if you're a negative person, if you're hurtful, you suffer the effects of that behavior. Destiny says, agree, bullies nowadays fight behind the screen when they are not seen. Sadly, all because it's supposed to be funny for them. They get something out of it. People don't engage in activities unless they perceive that they're going to get something out of it. And that's the sad thing, because whatever they get out of it is actually hurtful to them. Again, it's not hurtful for me. I grew up. Destiny grew up. We all, anyone over a certain age, we grew up when bullies were up front in your face. Somebody saying something on a screen isn't going to affect me. And if it does, that's on me. It's not on you. That means there's something within myself that can be triggered by somebody printing something on a screen. How sad would that be for me? But it would also point out what I need to work on. It's not your fault that I have triggers. It's my job to eliminate those triggers. And that's my whole practice. That's why I meditate. So that I can that I can be aware, and not only be aware, but I can be aware that I am aware. That's awakening. We could even say that's enlightenment. Being aware, and being aware. Not just being aware that we're aware, but being aware that we are awareness itself. We are that I am presence that is aware of everything that comes after I am, everything that is even before. Destiny says exactly up on our faces. We knew who our enemies were and knew how to fight them. Things were definitely more upfront back then, back in the day. I don't want to say it was easier, but at least, like Destiny said, we knew how to fight them, or we knew how to avoid them, or whatever. Now it's more insidious, sadly, because more of the younger generation, their entire lives is spent online, virtual. Experiences are missed for the sake of taking a photo or doing a video as we're doing it. So we're not even fully engaged in something. We're only partially engaged so that we can show people, look at me doing this. To be fully immersed, you don't even notice that anything else is going on. You're immersed within the act of being alive. You don't need proof. Absolutely nothing wrong with taking a photo and showing it to people and having other people enjoy it. But it's when that is the main thing, when it's everything, that's when it becomes sad. For all of us. Because we're missing out on life. Life is being replaced by a screen. Ironic, I know. I'm looking in a camera right now. I'm recording a video for a YouTube channel. It's a paradox. I hope I never get to the point where I'm so self-absorbed that I'm just doing this to hear myself talk. Basically, just engaging with other people, engaging with myself. It's all a form of self-narrative, expressing. Destiny says, today show us our real enemies. The enemies come, but to steal, kill, and destroy. Sadly so. Which goes back to what you and I were just talking about a few moments ago, Destiny. Educating. And you know what? I don't want to say educating kids. Because some kids do get it. And there's plenty of adults who don't. But we need a re-education of society, of what's important. And again, that could be through the practice of yoga, or it could be through the practice of true Christianity. True Buddhism. True whatever. As long as it's a path that offers us that transformation, leading us towards a state of peace. Peace isn't the destiny. It's the journey. And we all got to be on that journey together. We all got to step on that path. We all have to practice it. And that's what I love about yoga. It's a practice. A practice takes all the pressure off. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be great. You're practicing kindness. You're practicing forgiveness. You're practicing love. The same with Christianity. Practice. Eventually you get pretty good at it if you're practicing it all the time. So, all right guys, I've talked for about 35 minutes. I got a cat coming up and meowing at me. She wants some attention, and I got to get back to some of the classwork I'm doing. Thank you, Destiny, for popping in and having a conversation with me. And sharing your thoughts as well. Thank you to my friend from Brazil, whose name I can't pronounce, who kindly let me off the hook from even having to try to pronounce it. That I truly, truly appreciate. Destiny, have a good weekend. And again, I'm happy to hear that you are settling into your new home. Always such a good feeling. Moving can be a really traumatic experience, but it's always such a good feeling when you finally settle in and you look around and you say, I'm home. This has now become my home. So Destiny says, great discussion, Eric. Thanks for sharing. Happy Friday to you, and enjoy your weekend. You too, my friend. And I will see you tomorrow. You guys have a good one. Take care.